This is CNN Breaking News.
All right, I hinted at this before the break. Breaking news out of Washington. There is an unexpected delay in the move to end those FAA furloughs that have been causing long delays at airports across the country. President Obama had hoped to sign a bill aimed at ending those furloughs so that it could ease our travel troubles, but the president cannot do that right away because of a misspelling in the bill. Yes, someone misspelled a word. Congress passed the bill to end the furloughs this week, sent it to the president's desk. I mean, this all happened lickety-split, which is unusual in Washington, right? And then there was that misspelling. Well, hopefully someone will remember to hit the spell check button this time around, and when the bill again hits the president's desk, he can then sign it into law. More now on travel. After the recent terror attacks, security lines at airports are now longer than ever. You know, in addition to those furloughs, there was a problem there too. It makes some travelers very anxious. Aisha Tejar has some tips on how to travel stress-free.
A terror attack like the bombings in Boston can make traveling even more stressful.
I think it's normal for people to feel a certain amount of anxiety. Just the visuals alone from the bomb-sniffing dogs, the visibility of security at the airports is enough to get people perhaps a little bit more anxious, a little bit more concerned at airports and really at any crowded event or situation.
Large crowds often can't be avoided when you're traveling, but wherever you are, pay attention.
Knowing the exits, knowing where security personnel are stationed, just sort of knowing the layout of where you're headed and where you are can certainly help ease worries and ease concerns if you're in the midst of a crowded space.
And while you remain aware, a tablet or a good book can also help you escape any anxious thoughts.
I think, packing your patience is priority one. Be prepared for perhaps this security being a little bit more of a time-staking experience as well. State of mind is key here. The more flexible we are, the more open-minded and the more relaxed we are as we head into a travel experience, the better the overall trip is going to be.
So air travelers' problems may not go away immediately because of that misspelling I told you about in the bill to end air traffic controller furloughs. Joining me now is travel expert Mark Murphy. He's the author of Travel Unscripted. Welcome, Mark.
Well, hey, great to be here. Misspelling, spell check.
Oh my gosh. Can you believe it?
Yeah, actually I can.
When was... I know, I was going to say, for once, Congress acted quickly and got something done, and then this happens. It's sort of like, I don't know. I don't know what kind of, well, I do know what kind of message it sends. I just can't say it on television because I know how people are really feeling.
Exactly.
I know. Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks now. How will this continue to affect people at airports across the country in light of this delay in signing the bill?
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna affect them. Once it's signed, it's still going to take about 72 hours to completely roll out with the staffing. So you're still going to see a residual effect, I believe, for about 72 hours. It's once it's signed, it's still going to be the same as it was 24 hours later. So you need to be prepared for that. One of the tips I give people is I say always try to catch that first flight out, because when you have cancellations and delays, they stack up, and there's fewer flights today than there were just 3 years ago. So if you miss your flight or your flight's canceled, then you are quite possibly not even getting out later that day because those seats will be full. So get out on that first flight and make sure you're on a plane. If you miss that first flight, try to avoid rush hour at the airport. It's the same as rush hour everywhere else. Go out after 9 a.m. if you can, sort of that 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. because the security lines are a lot less, and you have a better chance of getting on a flight. In many cases, when you fly in the middle of the day, you'll save money as well.
You make it sound so easy, but really we're at the mercy of the airlines, aren't we? I mean, we could do everything right, follow every one of your tips, and it could still not be a very pleasant experience.
You know what? Murphy's Law, I know a little bit about it. So, yes, you need to be prepared. And I always tell people, I think the previous person you had on was dead on. Bring your patience. Understand the airline part is just the beginning of your trip. Focus on where you're going. You will eventually get there, and the key is getting there safely. That's what we all want.
Yeah. Are some cities more affected than others?
Well, yeah, I mean, certain airports, I stay away from Chicago O'Hare as much as possible. If you look at the airports with the biggest complaints as far as cancellations of departures, Chicago O'Hare, Dulles Airport, Houston, Newark, and a lot of that's because those are United hubs. Those United hubs had those problems with the integration of the Continental United merger, so I think they saw a spike in complaints as a result of that. But I try to avoid those, especially I try to avoid Chicago and Denver in the wintertime because of weather issues. I try to avoid DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Miami if possible in the summertime because of weather issues. And you just have to be smart because a lot of times you're booking a connection, and if you're taking a connection, you know, try to avoid those airports and choose different ways to get there.
Okay, I'm going to try to follow each and every one of your tips. Mark Murphy, thank you so much. And I'm sure that the people in charge in Washington will correct the misspelling, and President Obama will soon sign that bill ending those furloughs for air traffic controllers. We'll see. Coming up, we travel to the hometown of the Sarnaev family.